What's up, guys? We're going to be talking about this one today. We got the Time magazine article from May 4th, 1959 about Van Allen. I went ahead and scanned it, so we'll put that on the screen real quick for you. All right, and this magazine is falling apart as I'm touching it. I got this at an undisclosed location, but I thought it was pretty darn neat. And it's got pictures in here and stories from back in the day that are actually pretty interesting. But let's get to our topic. One second. Okay, here we go. Now, this article talks about the Northern Lights and Van Allen and describes everything that he's done pretty well, his backstory and everything and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But it talks about how after the war, we got 100 V-2 rockets. And they just started using them for testing and things like that, which is kind of interesting. You would think they'd try to back engineer or use some of them for possibly save some for war, but they just ended up using most of them, it says, and things like that. Like, this thing's ripping as I'm touching it right now, guys. That's how sensitive this thing is. Let's see. All right, and then on this little side part here, it says Space Detective Story, 1953. Raccoons, which is a group that he actually ran about for rockets. Raccoons fired off Newfoundland detect first hint of radiation belt. So they do detect the radiation belt there. Pretty interesting. The picture there shows that Earth is like sideways, so it's kind of strange to see it that way. 1958, explorers 1 and 3 find a lower portion of the inner belt, which is, they went 2,000 miles and discovered the inner radiation belt. 1958, Project Argus demonstrates charged particles following magnetic lines of force. The Explorer 4 measures the results. And then, so in 1958, they were already detonating atomic explosions, it states here, up in the air. And they basically would just track the where the particles would go and the energy would go and things like that. The Pioneer 1, 2, 3, it says here, reaches 63,000 miles and establishes a second radiation belt. And you can see that in the picture there. So, come to find out, it says here that Van Allen discovered 2 radiation belts. He discovered the first one closer to the Earth, and then around 2,000 miles they were noticing it, and then another one way up there at 63,000 miles, and just interesting. So it goes from it's like blankets. There's a layer, and then there's the air in between, and then another layer there. All right. And then it says in that stuff that there's a magnetic field around the equator that makes the cosmic rays go to the north and to the south pole. And whether you believe in the ball or the flat earth, it shoots them either way there. But one of the most interesting things about this whole thing is that on page 68, it states here, let's see. It says at the lower part of the paragraph here, the amazing conclusion, the Earth was surrounded by a belt of intense radiation, apparently trapped by Earth's magnetic field. It might be deadly enough to interfere seriously with man's attempts to fly into space. Oh, oops. Fly out into space. My bad. But that's interesting. So he states there that it's going to interfere. And then on page 69, it talks about how when Van Allen made his first open report on Explorer 4, he had to avoid all mention of Argus because of military security, which was a nuclear missile thing detonating them in the sky. But he had plenty to tell about the natural radiation. He could say with assurance that a human satellite crew exposed to maximum Van Allen radiation for a few days would surely die. It looked as if the fierce particles which slammed close to the Earth in the auroral regions were the explanation of the ancient mystery of Northern Lights. Can't read today. Also states later that a dog for Sputnik 2 died a week into his travels, but that could have been food or anything. I don't know the details on that. But he goes on later to state, let's see. It states that he highly suggests using instrumentation, robotics, things like that, more so tools, because it doesn't make sense to send people out there. You're going to risk that for what? You know, you don't even know what you're doing. There's no way that the Apollo stuff was exactly what they say, guys. There's just no way. But I thought that was really interesting. Talks about how, let's see. So basically, it's just like a constant atomic blast. He describes it as the sun having burst of gases, of electrons and protons, and that's what's up there, and it's just so violent and stuff like that that you can't really even get past it. So it doesn't make sense to be a space culture, basically. We can't get past that belt unless, I don't even know how. There might be some sort of way, but it just seems impossible. And this Van Allen himself didn't really think that it was possible. The thing I wanted to make clear on that is that they actually, for the Jet Propulsion Laboratories, they went up to 400,000 miles. It says, the outer radiation belt does not die off evenly. Beyond it are irregular bursts of radiation, and those are the clouds and things like that.